Hi and welcome. Thanks for joining us as we take this opportunity to take a look at everything Google Suite on your iPad. So let's get started with today's lesson. So in this video we're going to take a look at Google Docs on the iPad, but we're going to compare it through the Safari web browser to the application that you can download on your iPad and just look at some of the differences and things that you might prefer from one system to the other. Now we'll start in Safari. And there are a few ways to get to Docs from your Google Suite. Now, I'm already logged in and I've been using my Classroom. The easiest way probably is to use the waffle icon here and just go ahead and tap on Docs. But if I don't have anything open at the moment, I can tap on the plus and all I'm writing is docs.google.com. And that's also going to open up my Google Docs. So a few ways to do that. Now the final thing that's a really simple shortcut which really brings out the power of the iPad for me is to create my own app link for this. It was really simple process to do. If I tap on the share icon at the top and go to add to home screen, it's actually going to create a kind of web app link for me, which is going to sit on my home screen. If I just tap add, you'll see that creates this Google Docs quick link for me. So kind of utilizing how things work on my iPad, I can just tap on that app link and it's going to take me straight through to Google Docs. So there we go, a few ways to get into Google Docs if you're doing it via Safari. And like we said, Safari really is a desktop powerful web browser that sits on your iPad. So, Google Docs runs perfectly well on it. So when we're in Google Docs, you'll see that if I do this on Safari, and this is where the comparison kind of comes to doing this through the app, which we'll look at in a second, we really do get the full-blown experience here as if you're doing this on a desktop or a laptop. I obviously have the opportunity to start new documents. I can see all of my previous documents. I have the ability to tap on the ellipsis, the three dots, in order to change things, rename things, etc. So we get all of those kind of familiar tools. As I scroll, you'll be able to see the plus icon turns up, so I can create a new document here. And again, I have that option to start from anything within that template gallery that I might want to choose from. So the power of doing this on the internet via the web browser really is kind of the experience that you would have experienced from Google Suite if you were doing this on a laptop. Obviously the difference is I'm doing this on my iPad and I'm more mobile in doing this in this way. So let's just start with a blank document just to go through the process, just to show you that this looks exactly the same. Now this will always pop up because I don't have the app open at the moment, so you just kind of need to ignore this. We will have a look at what the app looks like a little bit later in this video, but at the moment I don't want that, so I'm just going to say I'm not interested, to remove that advertising at the bottom of the screen. And you'll see that this is, if you're familiar with using Google Docs, exactly what you will see if you're doing this in any other way. We still have access to all of our tools along the top, but when we go to insert and we go to some of the additional things that we can insert, if I go to image, it's not going to upload from my computer as such. It's going to give me the option to take photos or add things from my photo library. But also, like we've looked at in previous sessions, it does allow me to browse my whole system. And if I go back to my locations, all of those different cloud-based services that I've been utilizing, I can add things directly from there as well. So similar to the kind of on my computer, but actually in this case, it's anything that I've got stored in the cloud as well as anything on my iPad. We also saw that we can add in photos, so we can add in photos from our device as well. So again, just we can go to that take photo and add those directly in. So again, from that mobile kind of point of view, I might have students out and about, sort of wandering the playing grounds, doing some research on the area where they live, etc., doing science experiments and moving around. They can then kind of utilize the power of the iPad and the mobility, but also utilize Google Docs as a place where they might put their work together. Obviously, all the other insert things are there. We can insert tables and drawings, etc. So lots of things that we can add in. Again, all the things that you're used to using if you've used Google Docs before. It's a word processing tool. It allows you to add all of these different elements in. So all of the tools are there. Everything works as it does before. The translate is still there. Comparison documents, everything is where you would expect it to be. The other thing to highlight is if you're regular users of Google Suite, and from the productivity point of view, your calendar is still accessible on the side, similar to how it is in Drive and all of the other apps as well. So, fundamentally, everything is going to work how you're expecting it to work. So let's take a look at what this looks like as the app as well. So I'm going to go ahead and download the app, and I'm going to open up the app on the iPad, and let's just have a look at some of the comparisons between the two. Okay, so I've added a few things to this Google Doc so that we can see how this obviously translates across to the apps. So I'm going to go ahead and open the app now. So here's the Google Docs app. And here you can see what it looks like in terms of the app version. Pretty similar. I just don't have access obviously to those templates across the top, but I still have the plus to create new here. And I get the access to choose the templates from this point instead. Still have access to all of those, pre-made templates that I want to start from. So, the user interface is pretty similar in terms of that. Let's go into that document that we were creating before though. So here's that document that I've just made on the web. And you'll see instantly that there is a slightly different kind of view to doing this within the app. If I go to the edit pencil, which is by here, we'll see we just have a few limited functions. Now, the easiest way to show this is if I go into split screen on my iPad, I'm just going to drag my window up and just go back into Safari so we can see both kind of documents at the same time. So here is Google Docs on the web browser, here is Google Docs within the app itself. I still obviously have access to do all of my creation. I just kind of have more options that you'll be used to doing it in Safari on the web browser. So really it's down to choice. We can still add those elements in. I still have the option to tap on the plus to be able to add things in. Links, comments, those images, tables, everything is still there. It's just laid out in a slightly different way. Obviously it knows that I'm doing this on my mobile device, so therefore it kind of simplifies that. I'm taking it from my photos, or I'm just going to sort of add a picture in directly. So really it's choice. The one thing to notice is that if you have the app installed on your device, it will automatically open the app on your device. At the moment, I can have both open because I opened up the pre-link here before downloading the app, which is why I can have them both at the same time. So really, like I said, up to you in terms of choice, how you utilize things. There are some benefits. There are also some minor drawbacks. If you are a regular kind of Google Docs user using this on a desktop, then being able to do this as you would on your desktop on an iPad obviously is going to make that transition really, really easy. Your students, however, might not need to have all of this functionality, and therefore using the app may be perfectly fine for them to use. So there we go. There's Google Docs, both on Safari and as the app.